Hey folks, how's everybody doing out there? Hope y'all are doing well. Wherever you're at on this beautiful planet that we call the Earth, my friends. Welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to warn you up front, I'm going to talk about snakes. And I'm going to add it to my playlist, part of my travel survival series, my playlist that I put together. And so that's what this topic is going to be about. If you're skittish about snakes, the sight of snakes, and these are sort of some horrendous stories about how people have been injured by snakes just in everyday life in various parts of the world. It's not just focused here in Southeast Asia. So that's what I'm talking about in this video. I'm going to talk about snakes. If you don't want to have a phobia or some images burned into your brain with snakes who have engaged different body parts of human beings, then you probably don't want to watch this video. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Do I need to serve any more legal cheese for somebody out there who's going to have a nightmare because they see a picture of a snake? I've done a lot of videos on just things that have happened to me while I've been traveling around the world on the old Overstay Road. Everything from, you name it. You just go over to that playlist. Talk about a lot of issues related to men's health, out partying, catching the clap. Anything from catching the clap to roundworms, to a lot of things associated with tropical medicine. So I said, you know what? I read this article about this man who got bit by a snake recently. And I said, you know what? This is a perfect topic to talk about because a lot of y'all out there always ask me about snakes. I'm living in the tropics, and so you just assume that there's snakes everywhere. Well, a certain part of the tropics, that's true. Yes, there's snakes in the tropics. But certain areas, people live with them on a daily basis. In certain areas, we don't. So I'm going to talk about my experiences, of living over on this side of the globe in this region. So right off the bat, I don't have a lot of snake stories to tell. Okay? Living over in Pattaya, Thailand, where I live. Never had any problems with any snakes. Obviously, it's a city. It's not a rural area. Now, there have been stories, there's stories where people have had snake encounters in their house or what have you. But I never have. The only thing that I had to trap one time was a monitor lizard. Pretty good size one that decided to take up residence. And my normal pest control guys came out and set up a snare. They couldn't seem to catch the dude. They had a net and then they had a snare. I had to put together my old simplistic rabbit cage that me and my grandfather built when I was a kid, those types. They all laughed at me. I should have made a more detailed video on it. There may be some clips way back in the day of that, but anyhow, I made this trap, how we used to catch rabbits. They all laughed at me. All the Thai guys laughed at me, and well, the foreign guy caught the monitor lizard with a chicken leg, piece of chicken. Anyhow, that's another story. We go mountain climbing, we go trekking, we go hiking, we are in the woods, in the creek, at her village. All the times that we've been filming in the village, we found that one little bitty snake. And it wasn't big enough to bite a biscuit. The biggest snake I saw that I've seen here in the Philippines was at an animal rescue, like a shelter center. They had some monkeys, they had all different types of animals that people had brought there that were injured, and they nursed back to health. And they had a big old, huge python there that somebody had found out in the woods or out in the jungle, what have you, and they brought it to that center. That's the biggest snake I've seen here in the Philippines, and it was in captivity. Am I saying that there's not snakes here? I'm not saying that. I just try to speak from my own personal experience. And so I guess I would, like if I'm out in the desert out west in America, I would be on the alert for rattlesnakes, obviously, because there's rattlesnakes everywhere. But here, I don't want to say I let my guard down, but I'm not on that heightened level of alert when we're trekking around the sugarcane field or, trudging through those creeks in the middle of the night while they're trying to catch little shrimp and whatever they're eating, right? My alert level is just not like that because I just don't see it. Might change the next time we go to the village and I'll see 3-4 big old snakes and have to eat these worms. But right now, I don't see that. Okay, with that big long disclosure out of the way, let's start out with the first article. If I can get my iPad working here. And there's obviously different versions of any story. You never know which one's the correct version. And a lot of people, they just believe what they read on the news. They just take it for granted. But what people don't realize is, like in the past when I've been in the news, they would misspell my name, get my name wrong, get the facts wrong. So there's different versions of this story. I'm going to read you the sanitized version. Then I'm going to go into the one that I find the most interesting. I don't know which one is true. Snake bites man in toilet. And this was posted August 22nd, so a couple weeks ago. I'll put some pictures there on the screen. Now, this is your last warning. If you don't want to see snakes in people's houses, you probably want to stop the video and leave now. Okay, but I'm doing this on an educational basis. Picture's worth 1,000 words. This is your last warning. Okay, so boom, there you go. This man making his morning visit to the toilet was surprised when a sudden sharp pain in his, now they use the word testicles, which is the scientific word for balls. But instead of having to use that so scientific word, I'm going to change the name to something more colloquial. Okay, there was a sharp pain in his balls after he sat down. He had been bitten by a python hiding in the toilet bowl. The snake remained firmly attached to his scrotum. How would you describe that? So it clamped down on his nutsack before he was able to shake it off. He posted his experience on Facebook as a warning to others during the rainy weather. Okay, now this story took place in Thailand. And it could easily have taken place in Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia. It could easily take place anywhere in the tropics, right? But this happened to take place in Thailand. And when you have a lot of rains, obviously it puts those snakes on the move. And the rainy season, they tend to end up in residential areas. So, moving right along, after sitting on the toilet, he felt a sharp pain. He looked into the bowl and saw a snake with its mouth clamped onto his scrotum. Alarmed, he stood up and the snake let go. It fell back into the bowl. Now, this is the version that Bangkok Post is putting out. The next version is a little bit different. He tried to drag the snake out of the bowl, but didn't have the strength. So he picked up a cleaning brush and used it to beat the animal to death. He called a security guard who helped remove the snake. Went to a hospital for a checkup, treated for a snake bite wound, but it was not serious. The snake was not venomous. And again, that's sort of a sanitized version. It's probably like the rated PG version. And if you look at the picture, again, picture's worth 1,000 words. I'm not so sure I believe that story, that version of the story, because think about it. If you had a snake just clamp down on your balls, the last thing on your mind as a male is to drag that thing out of the toilet. That's just my opinion. I think probably you're going to be more concerned with treating your injuries than dealing with that snake. I run out of there, close the door, let somebody else deal with that snake. I got to go check on the family jewels. So I think that's a sanitized version, and I don't think that it's probably exactly what went down. I don't know. They said he posted his version on Facebook. Maybe that's where the facts lie. I'm not on Facebook, so I don't know how to go over there and check. Now here's a different version. This is from, I don't know where this is from. It's Indian News. This gets a little more graphic. Python bites Thai man's testicles while he uses toilet. Semicolon, thrashed to death. The python, which had started gripping his hand, was whacked on the head with a toilet brush until the reptile died and loosened its grip. And there's a picture of the gentleman right there. I'm not going to post his face because, again, I don't know if this is true or not. But they're saying that's the dude. Almost say, obviously, he's a heavy set guy. You know, big burly dude, Heavy D. Heavy D sits down on the shitter. Snake clamps down onto his nutsack. Okay. So let's listen to this version. A man in Thailand was bitten by a python on his balls in his bathroom before he thrashed the reptile to death using a toilet brush. The man said as soon as he sat down, he felt an acute pain in his testicles. This is quote, "I felt something biting my balls, which was very painful, so I put my hand in. Yes, I was caught by a snake which was biting my balls." End quote. Okay, more quotes from the gentleman. "I hurriedly stood up and plucked it out immediately. I felt hurt but more shocked. The python, which had started gripping his hand, was whacked hard on its head with a toilet brush until the reptile died and loosened its grip." He said that after the incident, his father rushed him to a hospital to get a tetanus vaccine. Upon treatment, they said he would not require any stitches as his injury was not deep, but it would take a couple weeks to heal. So the snake just sounds like it just, bit the nutsack into the skin. Didn't hit any of the meat or the actual jewels. The man added that his testicles were safe and that he was lucky it wasn't a venomous snake. That's good to know, that his testicles are safe. You gotta post that on Facebook, make sure the ladies aren't scared up, right? Thought that was somebody walking by, a big old piece of plastic blowing that direction. There's a nice breeze out here. Nice breeze. I got some lady somewhere singing Bad Vid Jokey in the background. Welcome to the PI. This is not the first time when pythons have attacked people while using the restroom. There was an incident in 2020 involving a python. 2016 there was an incident, and I'll talk about those. I pulled up the articles on those. So seeing that article, which happened recently, is what sparked my interest. And again, I've read articles about this before. When I was in Iraq, there was a photo circulating around. I think came from Al-Assad, where they went into one of the porta-johns or whatever, and there was a big-ass huge snake. No, it wasn't a porta-john. It was a regular bathroom. I remember seeing the picture. There was a big, huge, ugly-looking snake that was, in the toilet bowl. He filled that whole thing up, and they had to drag him out of there. So this isn't an isolated incident, right? Something that happens. I wouldn't say frequently, but it does happen. So that's what happened to the gentleman. Luckily, he had access to that toilet brush where he could start beating the hell out of that snake, because it's a pretty good sized snake. And as I tell these other stories, it'll make sense maybe why you need some type of impact weapon next to the toilet or mounted on the wall. I'll talk about my solutions at the end. Alright, this is from Australia from a few years ago, 2015. It says, snakes looking for a drink slither into Australian toilets. And boom, there's a picture right there of the toilet bowl just full of a big old snake, right? 10-foot python. And it's a town of Townsville, Australia. Imagine going to the bathroom and finding a huge python curled up inside the toilet bowl. That happened not just once, but twice in the city of Townsville this month. This dude named Elliot Budd, who works as a snake catcher in the northeastern city in Queensland, received 2 calls in the past 2 weeks to remove snakes that had snuck their way into people's toilets. The first one was 3 meters long, which is about 10 feet, and the second one was 2.4 meters, about 7.5 feet. The first one I got, the house was being renovated, so it was a few tradesmen working that came across it, and I was definitely a bit surprised when it was in the toilet. It was particularly tricky to remove because the snake had a firm grip on the toilet's S-bin. He finally got it out after unbolting the toilet. So the snake didn't want to come out of there. Obviously it's strong, so he had to take the toilet out, which seems to be the trend in a lot of these cases. You just can't pull that thing out of there. Maybe if you whack his head off and wait for it to die a little bit and pull it out. But most of these, are animal rights type people. They're going to rescue the snake and relocate it, what have you. That wouldn't be the course of action this guy takes. But that's what happens in these stories. When he was called in a second time for a snake in a toilet situation, he thought somebody was pranking him, because he just had a real call. And the second one, he thought it might have been a prank, Lady on the phone said it was in the toilet. He thought it was just somebody having a joke after the first one. I didn't think I'd see 2 of them, but the lady very much wanted me to get it out. Now he believes that they're getting through open doors and windows. I don't know why he believes that. He believes they came in through a door or a window and then went into the toilet because it's got water. But clearly all of these other cases, I guess you can't see clearly. You can't say clearly because nobody knows how the snake got in there. We're making the assumption that it come up through the toilet. But with this guy is suspecting that it came in another way and just went to the toilet because it's got water in it. I'm not a plumber, but it's very unlikely for them to come up through the pipes. I wouldn't say it's common, but it does happen. All of the other snake catchers have been doing it for 15 to 20 years, and some of them haven't had not one case of a snake being in a toilet. And then there's the looking for water. As for why, Bud believes it's the dry spell the region is experiencing, and that's driving the animals to hide out in people's toilets. It just comes down to the fact that it's really dry right now and they're looking for water, and it's mating season. They're using a lot more energy than they normally would, so they need more water. They're non-venomous, they aren't considered dangerous, they're not something to fear, but it's best if you come across them to leave them alone. Now this is an expert snake handler talking, right? Trying to downplay the dangers of snakes. It doesn't matter if it's venomous or not. When a snake bites you in your balls, that's a life-threatening situation. And luckily he just, got his teeth sunk into that guy's ball sack. But you got a big old snake that does some serious structural damage to the actual meatball. That's a huge problem. So this, snake handlers, snake people, they always downplay it, but they're not factoring in the psychological terror and the fact that you can be injured by a non-venomous snake. Oh, by the way, the non-venomous snake kills you by constricting around you and suffocating you. So it depends on how big the snake is. You can't brush it off as, oh, it's non-venomous. But you know how snake people do, right? All snake people want to downplay the threat. Reminds me of that case where them idiots keeping snakes in their house. One got out and killed their toddler, their baby. I always thought that they should suffer the same fate as that child suffered. I'll stop talking about that. I might get this video banned. Okay, so now let's go to 2016. Python bites Thai man's, back to Thailand. This is 8 years ago. Python bites Thai man's, change the word penis to tallywhacker in terrifying toilet encounter. Okay, put some pictures on the screen there. This man's recovering in the hospital after a python latched its fangs onto his tallywhacker while he was using the toilet. Rescuers arrived to find the python's head hanging from the bathroom door, secured by a rope, with the rest of the snake still stuck in the squat toilet at the man's home east of Bangkok. Man, that's a bloody photo right there. I don't know if I should put that in there or not. The man lost a lot of blood, but is now recovering. And rescue workers had to dismantle the toilet to remove the snake, which had survived the ordeal. Let's see. The gentleman who's been working in rescue for 6 years said he's seen snakes in toilets before, but never witnessed a scene quite like this one. It's bizarre. I had seen them come out of toilets many times, and when they bit somebody, mostly it would be the legs or the buttocks. So this guy's seen multiple cases, but not the tallywhacker. This is the first time. So wasn't surprised about the overall incident. He was surprised about the snakes, the area that the snake targeted. Usually targets the legs or the buttocks. This time he went straight in for the tallywhacker. In the recent event, went straight for the sack. This case has come from Thailand, but you have to realize it's because they're reported. More people have access to the internet, especially back in 2015, 2016, right? Thailand is it's way up here compared to Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam. So all these incidents happen all over. They're just probably, or they are, they're not reported because people way out in that village ain't got an iPhone or what have you, right? Okay, so moving right along. Thai woman had a scary experience when a snake attacked her as she was sitting on the toilet. The woman's daughter posted about the terrifying experience on Facebook. And again, that's why so many of these go back, because they're posting it on Facebook. And people in Thailand had access and have access to more technology quicker than the rest of these other countries that I'm talking about. She posted on Facebook, said her mom was going about her business when suddenly a serpent that had been hiding in the toilet sank its fangs into her thigh. The startled mom grabbed the snake by its head and tried to rip it off of her, but that just made the reptile clamp down harder. Okay, interesting. Sending blood gushing down her leg. The girl heard her mom's screams and busted into the bathroom with a knife and hammer to save her. Alright, good on the daughter. My mom used to cut her on the snake, but the skin was so rough that she accidentally cut herself about 3 centimeters deep. So that's interesting as well. You know, snakes got a tough skin. She's louder the motorbike, the dumber the operator. Scientific equation. So she's trying to hack away and saw away on the snake, but it ain't like cutting through hot butter. Ends up cutting herself in the leg. My mom almost lost consciousness while the snake continued squeezing. Finally, the mom slammed the snake's head on the floor while her son knocked it with a hammer until it eventually released. So the hammer was a better weapon of choice than the knife in this particular case. They quickly got out of the bathroom and locked the critter inside. Okay, that's I would expect that's what a normal person would do. Not try to pull it out, and not try to, no. You're gonna try to get away and just close the door, call for help. Gruesome photos of the aftermath shows the dead snake with bloody gashes near its head, next to 2 hammers, a box cutter, and a mess of blood all over the floor. And she went to the hospital, got stitched up. But let's talk about the positive in it, is that these are pythons, which are non-venomous. And again, obviously, the snake can kill you if it's big enough. But all these people who got bit, they're getting bit by a non-venomous snake versus, here's a article from 2017. 24 rattlesnakes found in Texas home, including one in a toilet. It was a problem beyond the plumber's expertise. The western diamondback rattlesnake wormed its way up the plumbing of a Texas home and surfaced in the family's toilet bowl. This dude named Nathan Hawkins, the owner of Abilene, Texas-based Big Country Snake Removal. Great name. This snake in the toilet called Big Country Snake Removal. Said a young boy first found the snake slithering in the toilet on January 26. He tried to flush it back down, but it only startled it and caused it to come out further out of the toilet. The boy's dad come 30 minutes later to find, let me back up. Okay, he got a call from the boy's dad. Arrived in 30 minutes to find the boy's mother had killed the snake. So the dad calls. I don't know where the dad was at, but by the time the snake handler got there, the mother had killed the rattlesnake. That's a Texas mom right there. Get on you, darling. For the snake handler, it was a first to find a toilet-dwelling rattlesnake, but he wasn't surprised it was able to find its way into the toilet bowl. He said it came in from a relief pipe in the old farmhouse's septic system. But the rattlesnake in the bowl wasn't the only one nearby. He discovered 23 more rattlesnakes underneath the home and in the storm cellar. Majority were adults, 4 to 5 feet long, and he relocated the snakes. Best thing to do is leave them alone. Well, again, I disagree. If there's a snake in my toilet or underneath my house or a rattlesnake anywhere near my house, I don't think the best course of action for my children or the ladies is to leave it alone. While I was running across this, I found another funny article where is this, London? Yeah, South London couple claims that a rat has been showing up regularly in the toilet for more than 9 months. So this is a case of a rat climbing up through the toilet. Margaret and Keith Woods, 59 to 67, said their daughter told them that a rat climbed out of the toilet and was running around the house. Since then, the rat, which they have affectionately named Roland, has been poking his head out of the toilet bowl almost every night. We're petrified to go to the toilet. The contacted the utility company, but they didn't investigate till 3 weeks ago. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but it's just sort of another thing that you do when you're traveling to areas where A, there's a lot of snakes in the area, B, it's the tropics, C, it's the rainy season, which will put them on the move, or it's an extremely dry spell that will put them searching for water. If they can't find water out in the wild, they're gonna go where they can find water, which may be a residential area, a house. So if you find yourself traveling to areas off the beaten path that are more rudimentary during these time frames with a lot of snakes, there's stories online before, it's really just about common sense. Common sense. Before you go to do your business, take a look in the toilet and take this stop, put your iPhone in your pocket, put your cell phone down, lift up that toilet lid, look down in the damn toilet, and see if there's a 7-foot python in there or not. It's pretty much that simple, right? Now, if there's not, okay, I'll make a flow chart here, okay? Step 1, look in toilet. Is there a big ass snake in there? Yes. Okay, run the hell out and close the door behind you. Okay, B, there's no snake in there. Now we go down the flow chart. Now come up with some ideas how to minimize your chance of getting bit on the buttocks, the cojones, the sack, any of your parts down there where a snake is first presented with these parts and decides which one to bite. Here's how you prevent it in the first place. I gotta get my old man glasses on and read my notes because I wrote with a pencil. I can't even read what I wrote. Go from the cool breeze up to the old man showing fucking age. So, tips on how not to get bit by a snake while you're taking a dump. Fucking genius. Don't take your cell phone to the bathroom, because the longer you sit there, it's the law of average, the laws of probability. The longer you sit there, the more chance of something happening. Do your business and move on. Plus, you're distracted by that damn video game that you're playing, and you won't even realize it until that 6-foot python latches onto your balls. Put the video game down while you're taking a dump. Now, talk about the law of average. This has nothing to do with snakes. If you sit on that toilet and play that game or whatever you're going to do in that little texting box for an hour, it's a greater probability that a damn meteor could fall out of the sky or a piece of Chinese space junk and land on your head while you're sitting on that toilet, if the trajectory is headed toward that toilet. So it's just about time. Get in there, take a look, do your business, get the hell out of there. Play your video game outside. You know, if you find yourself off the beaten path in Cambodia somewhere, backpacking around, what have you, it's the rainy season. Don't be hanging out in a damn rudimentary bathroom no longer than you have to. It's common sense. Some of y'all can't not go into the CR without spending an hour playing your video games. Damn, I still back to my old man glasses again. Y'all hear my chickens over there? Chickens are getting big to the point they can almost jump out of that bowl. I gotta get them a chicken gel. Almost getting out of there. Number 2, if the facility or the house or whatever you're staying at has an upstairs crapper, utilize the shitter that's upstairs instead of the one that's on the ground level. Because I'm no plumber, I'm no snake expert, but it would seem less likely that the snake would climb up a pipe that's one story in height and then pop out of a toilet. You probably just go to the one on the ground floor, right? Maybe not every snake, because I don't have any snakes to interview. But if I were a snake, that seems like a lot of extra work to go up to the first floor, the second floor on up. Now, all of these stories that I featured, it seemed that all the toilets were on the ground floor. There were no stories from a 32nd floor high-rise condo. It's all ground floor bathrooms. Now, in the rainy season, I've stayed at some places. Okay, now let me talk about this. I'll put my glasses back on because it's bright out here. In my travels where I've been backpacking around, staying at these little cheap places off a dirt road somewhere, you know, just adventuring around, drinking beer. I've stayed in some places, and there might be a video on this channel where I showed that. I'll try to find it. Where I stayed on the ground level, and it come a big old rain, and the sewer, like in the shower drain just started backing up. I mean, the shower just starts filling up with crap water. It just starts flooding from the drains. And so I made the decision, you know, just sort of as an unwritten rule, as long as I can, if there's a room on the second deck versus the ground level, especially in rudimentary surroundings, I'm obviously going to the second deck. I mean, if it comes a flood, you don't got to move rooms, but really it's because when it come a huge rain, first thing will happen, it just start flooding sewage up through that shower drain. So therefore, you know, it's less likely if you're on the second deck, it's less likely that the sewage is going to back up to the second level, and it's less likely that a damn 7-foot python is going to come out on the second level. So there you go. I just thought that was something. Maybe you think about that, maybe you don't. I didn't think about it before either, until I was staying in that room. The sewage started coming out of the shower drain when it was coming to flood. Always make sure you check before you pull your trousers down. Why? Because that way you can run if you need to. You know, if you go in there, okay, you roll in there, drop trowel, then turn around and lift the bowl up, there's a big ass python in there, and you're gonna look funny trying to run. And you're gonna try to run. It's gonna be fight or flight. So look before you drop trowel. That way you can run. Pretty simple, right? Man, who knew this video could be so much fun? Let's see. Now this one here, I have a story to back this up. Doesn't have anything to do with snakes. But I said, you know what? If you live in this type of environment, you know, say I lived next door to any of these people in these stories, maybe what you could do is mount like an emergency axe or hatchet or hammer or knife on the wall next to the crapper. That way, if you're sitting there and a python latches onto your balls, it's like one of those emergency escape hammers, you know, in your car. I never had one, but so I was always carrying a gun. I just figured I'd blow holes in the window. But if you got one of those emergency escape things, you bust the window out, it's the same way with a snake. And maybe one of those would work on a snake pretty well. Some type of weapon. So if you look down and there's a python, grab the python's head with one hand, and then, you know, if you got something mounted on the wall, you grab it with one hand, and then you're right here. All right? Chuck Gerber strong arm on the wall. Make sure you can grab it with one hand. Don't just lay it on the back of the toilet. You like mount that on the wall. That way when you grab the snake here, when you grab that snake here, you got one hand to dispatch the snake to prevent bodily harm or death. I've told this story, I think, on previous videos, but I'll compress it. I was in an upstairs bathroom one time, and I went in there, it's the second deck, go in there butt naked, take a shower, go to leave the bathroom, and the doorknob broke. It's a solid door. It broke, couldn't open it, hooping and hollering. People were downstairs, couldn't hear me. I was locked in that bathroom, butt naked. I could have opened the window and tried to jump down from the second deck, but I don't have the clothes on. So with basic items that I found underneath the sink, I was able to get the door, the knob off to the point I could yell. I still couldn't get it because it was jammed in there. I needed tools. I had to yell through that hole, "Hey, I'm trapped in the bathroom, hey!" And I'll yell for the longest time before they finally come up there and help me get out. And they had to basically hand me tools through that hole. Again, it was a solid door. I didn't have any way to get them hinges off. I'm butt naked. What did I do after that? Anytime there's an upstairs, well, really any bathroom, put some basic tools in there. Screwdriver and a hammer, at least something to get them hinges off. So if you get trapped in there, you can get out of the damn bathroom. So now, after these stories, I'm thinking about mounting some type of impact device on the wall. Again, that I can just pull off with one hand, hit the snake, cut the snake. But again, an impact weapon might be better, especially if there's a struggle. It's a big old snake. That woman tried to cut the snake, it didn't work. She cut herself. The other gentleman was successful with a toilet brush. But I fail to see, that must have been a heavy ass toilet brush. How the hell can you beat a snake half to death with a toilet brush? I don't know. That's why I think there's more to the story. I mean, I think you could probably beat the hell out of somebody with a toilet brush and not do much damage at all. This one here. You know how when you go to the bar, at least a lot of the bars you go to, and they dump the excess ice, the ice that's half melted or whatever, they dump it in the urinals. I guess keep the smell down, keep the flies down. Anyhow, you go to these bars, right, and you're sitting there pissing in the urinal and you're pissing on ice. You've had a few beers, and of course you sit there and try to cut, your initials into the ice, what have you. But I was sitting there thinking about that, and I said, well, what if you just put a bunch of ice in the toilet bowl? Snakes are cold-blooded, right? If a snake is trying to come up through that toilet bowl, and say, 5 minutes before you got to do your business, you just went in there and dumped the ice in there, would he sense that cold and go the other way? Or would he slither through that ice like a submarine popping up through the ice in the Arctic? I'm not sure. But I know snakes can't make it very long in ice. Just food for thought, folks. And then, the last ingenious way, maybe not 100%, but what if you took a brick? It's a little messy, bear with me here. But when you go to do your business, you just shove a brick down in there. Now the snake can't get through there. Now I haven't figured out the part where you got to clean up the brick and remove the brick. I ain't figured that out yet. But I said if you shoved a brick in there, that snake could physically not come up through that toilet. And it brings on new meaning to the saying, shit a brick. To call it a shit brick. I know I'm reaching on that one, but I thought it was funny. But seriously, you jam a brick in there, how the hell that snake coming up through there? Maybe strong enough to lift that brick. Like that dude on Point Break, threw the brick in the pool, had to swim down. What was his name? Pappas? Had to swim down and get that brick. Dude says something like, been on his job 30 years, fired my weapon so many times, and I failed to see how retrieving a brick from the bottom of the pool has anything to do with police work. Anyhow, great movie. Point Break, the first one. What's the guy's name? The real friendly guy. Keanu Reeves. Great movie. Folks, I hope you were at least entertained by this talk. Again, I'm not trying to scare nobody. I just thought it was interesting articles. I've been over here a long time. Never had anything like that happen to me. Never even had a snake around the house or anything, other than that monitor lizard. Which that monitor lizard was pretty big. You know, it looks like a damn little dragon. They get big. If you want to see them, you go to the Lumpini Park in Bangkok. They're all over the place, right? But it's scary. You've never been around them things before. It's scary as hell. They're also considered bad luck. If you don't know this about Thailand, those monitor lizards, if they visit you at your house, it's considered very bad luck. They call them Hia, which basically is a bad name. It's like calling a politician. Anyhow, I won't get too in depth to that, but it's just bad luck to have a Hia come visit you at your house. And I had Thai friends, they didn't want to come anywhere near the crib over there until I got that damn thing captured. And again, I had to do it myself with just a good old-fashioned Mississippi rabbit trap and a chicken leg. I caught that dude. They're like, what do you want to do with it? I said, just get it out of here, man. I said, matter of fact, you can have the trap, you can have the box. I give that box to you because it's rudimentary technology imported from the backwoods of Mississippi. It'll catch rabbits, and now obviously proven it will catch monitor lizards. You can have it. I just don't want the lizard to come back here. They took it off, I don't know, 20, 30 kilometers away, released it. It's a happy ending to that story, but they are bad luck. Alright folks, thanks for joining me on this video. Let's talk about snakes. Again, not trying to scare anybody, but check out my travel survival playlist. I'm trying to make an award-winning travel show. You two ladies coming here. So noisy. So noisy. Where have you been, ladies?
Been shopping.
It looks like you've been shopping.
Yes, shopping. Shopping of bread. Bread.
Say well.
Gusto mo, anak ate. Snacks and friends we just buy in Longna.
You got the baby snacks?
Yeah. The snacks. My snacks.